So as I thank my God,
and I'm very grateful to God for that.
That was a gift from God.
I'm thankful to God.
I want to thank God. I thought of a Sunday morning back in July 5th. I was sitting down front, might have had the shepherd's prayer that morning, I wasn't sure, but I was watching people come in, and I saw Jim and Mary Rackley come in for the first time during the COVID. And Jim sat on the far side, and Mary came down and sat with Sue Wedd and Janet Childress, and she had her mask on, but you could see her eyes were just lit up. She was happy to be there and was looking great. And I wanted to speak to her, but the service was starting, and I'll try to get to see her afterwards. And as we switched, I didn't get that chance. They exited quickly, and I missed that chance. Then just a few days later, Mary passed. But I thank the Lord for that view of Mary. I've known Mary since I was a teenager. And it was just to have that last remembrance of her being happy, being at church, loving the church members, and it's a beautiful memory for me to hold for the rest of my life.
I have one sibling, a younger brother named Trent. And when we were growing up, we had our spats, our arguments, our fights that brothers have when they're growing up. But when we became young adults, that went away, and we developed a good relationship. But whereas I married and stayed here in Winston-Salem, he married and moved to Walterboro, South Carolina. And even though we had a good relationship, we really didn't talk to each other unless we were physically together at family visits or holidays. Those events happened only once, maybe twice a year. And when they did happen, it was for a very short period of time. Then he retired and I retired. And when the pandemic hit and we were sheltered in our home back in the early spring, he called me on the phone one day, and we had a really good conversation. And then surprisingly, about 2 weeks later, he called me on the phone again, and we had another very good conversation. So a week or two later, I decided that I needed to call him, and I did. And we had another very good conversation. And that's developed into where we call each other now just about every week. And every time we call, we've had an enjoyable and good conversation. So because of the pandemic situation, I've developed a closer and a stronger relationship with my brother than I think I would have had we continued our normal conduct under normal circumstances. And I'm very grateful to God for that.
An unexpected but pretty amazing gift that my family, Lisa and I, received from God during this really tough year was probably the gift of time. Time with our kids and grandkids that we would never have otherwise had. Back in March, the world kind of came to a screeching halt. Time stood still. And we all wondered what was going to happen, but then in this sort of pause, all of a sudden, I'm spending more time with my grandkids than I would ever have imagined. And, that was a gift from God that I didn't really deserve.
One of the things that I thank God for constantly as I think about this time that we have been through is the way that you have reacted to this time that we're going through. It's a very special time. It's a very awkward time, but we've turned it into an opportunity. When we had our work week, a good percentage of you guys responded. Not just in kind, you were here, we got a lot done that week. When the opportunity arises
for you to do good to, especially to members of the household of faith. You respond in more than just kind. And so as I thank my God and our God for blessings that have come out of this, at the top of that list is the way that you have responded.
What I've been thankful for this year, in a year that's been difficult for most of us, I've been thankful for the way that families have reacted to it. Specifically, these times, if you go back 6 months, many of us were quarantined at home. We were away from school, we were away from jobs, or if we had jobs, we were doing them from home. And that was a lot of time forced together. And that forcing to be together has actually been so reassuring for me to see that. I see photographs online of families doing things together during the week that last year wouldn't have happened because we're so wrapped up in the sports and the school and the things and the jobs. And this year, I think, has given families in some way a unique way to be together. And I'm so thankful to God for that.